And it looks like we are live yet again after taking last week off. Um, but anywho, um, I am joined once again by Mr. Free Speech Gaming, uh,
What's up?
aka Steven.
Yeah, everybody out there. I see we got a Snortopoopus Q Burr in the chat, which
Yeah.
hell, Snortopoopus. That I actually love his Twitter. Uh, it's great in there. I'm a big fan of polar bears. Like when I was a kid, they were like my favorite animal, and I had like polar bear curtains, and I still have like some pictures and stuff that I've hung on to, and like small figurines and the like of polar bears. So they're
Yeah.
awesome, and for that I love your Twitter, Snortopoopus.
Yeah, he's at. Well, I don't know how much, if any, that you get to catch Stone Loki, but every morning, me I'm usually saying hello to Mr. Burr in Loki's Mornings of Mischief chat uh, in on the weekdays, and like Loki says, you know, my favorite my favorite polar bear on the YouTube, uh, or the internet in general. Uh, so
Yeah,
we appreciate you, Snorty, for being here, and Nerdscape, and whoever else may be lurking. But yeah, we I had an article presented to me, and I figured we'd talk about that, about a judge striking down something that Biden put into action, about transgender bathrooms in the schools, in the school system, uh, and yeah, it's I don't know. I'll freely admit that I quickly skimmed over the article. Um, so uh, I'm not gonna be like quoting the article, um, direct quoting the article or anything, but it just gave me the idea of speaking on the subject, and which it's not new. It's not a new subject, the whole transgender bathroom thing. In fact, it's been over a year, I think, at least, with uh with the kid that had gotten in trouble, for assaulting a girl at school, um
well,
in in
he
in
was
the
wearing
bathroom.
a skirt.
Yeah, he did it at one school, right? And then got suspended or whatever, and then pulled it again at another school, right? Or
I can't
am I
remember
thinking
whether
correctly?
it was the same school twice, and then it was the dad got pissed off and was making trying to sue the school, and he showed up to a school board meeting and they had him removed. I can't remember if that was the guy that like they literally like the cops literally had to drag him out or not.
Hmm.
Did want to highlight one comment here. Snortopoop has said, "Every so often a court gets it right." Yeah, it is kind of rare for a case law to go in a good direction, but yeah, it's kind of like the latest Roe v. Wade decision. It's the Supreme Court can they can have an exception to the rule because normally their decisions aren't great. But when it comes to like guns and I guess finally overturning Roe v. Wade,
Yeah. Which, since you brought that up, uh, what what what's what's really funny to me is all the people that are thinking that abortion is illegal now, because of that, and they think that guns have more rights than women now, um,
Huh.
because of those two decisions, and which is, I don't know if they just don't realize, um, through ignorance, or whether it's what's the phrase?
Idiocy.
Yeah, is it what is it? Cognitive?
Oh, cognitive dissonance.
Yeah, yeah. Isn't that where you know the truth, but you refuse to accept it or whatever? Right? Am I thinking correctly?
Essentially, yes. Cognitive dissonance is being able to hold two contradicting ideas in your head, picking typically picking one over the other. Kind of,
Mm,
uh, the whole women should have a right to their body. Every person should have a complete right to their body and what they choose to do with it. But you also have to get the jab mandate.
mm. Which there's a difference though between that and like um having like gray areas or whatever I'm trying to say, like like me, and especially in relation to like the RVW thing, it's like, yeah, my body, my choice, in relation, especially in relation to having something injected into your body that you don't want.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but at the same time, uh, I don't, I don't think it's my body, my choice when it comes to there being a, innocent, defenseless, life, you know, uh, inside of you.
Yeah, that's one of
um,
the claim is a gray area, and it's yeah. The does the fetus have a right to life? They really don't consider a fetus to be a person. This is a bit anecdotal, but it's I mean it's not even evidence. I'm talking about a TV show here, but I've been rewatching the show House, with House MD.
yeah,
A great show, love it. But they
yeah,
had an episode where basically this woman needed to get an abortion to save her life, which is one of the gray areas of abortion, right? It's like, okay, abortion
yeah,
probably aimed toward protecting the life of the child, but if we're having to make a choice of the child versus the mother, it's a difficult choice, and you have to weigh all of the options. And it's not like it should just be 100% illegal all the time. That would be bad. But the gray area, if the mother, if her life is potentially being threatened, and basically the whole episode, House is saying we need to terminate the pregnancy. Um, that this it's going to kill you otherwise, and he keeps referring to it as a fetus and
mm,
person, not a kid, a baby. And then when he sees it and sees, it's got little hands and fingers, kind of like how women see when they see the ultrasound,
yeah.
it becomes more of a living being to them. But we're getting off topic here. We're supposed to be talking about the.
Right. Um.
Yeah, this whole bathroom situation, like it's nothing new. They've been really pushing this stuff for a long time, and I even think that there's a gray area in the bathroom debate. Like I remember when I was 16, I was working at a restaurant as a host, and there was a I mean, we didn't call him transgender back then. We called him, it was a transvestite working towards becoming a transsexual. But it was a man who was living as a woman and had gone through all of the checks that were there at the time, which meant you had to go through a certain amount of therapy, and then you had to live your life as the opposite gender for a specific period of time before you would start getting, the hormones and everything, and then after that potentially surgery. And so this guy was, living as a woman, and one of the things you're supposed to do in that situation is use women's restrooms. And it's you're told in therapy, like, you're going to have to be careful because some women are going to be uncomfortable about this. So, make sure you're respectful, and they're given boundaries ahead of time. So there was a bit of a gray area there. Now, I was also a dick because I was 16 and I didn't really care about the job because I didn't get paid that well. So as she was walking towards the women's bathroom, I couldn't help myself and went, "Hey, dude, you're on the wrong side," and pointed to the men's room.
Wow.
Yeah. 16-year-olds are dicks.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. It's
But this is also adults we're talking about. Like,
yeah,
this in schools with children. I'm sorry, no. That's a step too far. We're getting into territory where, children are not safe to be, integrated in that sort of way. They're still learning about their bodies. They're, especially in like late middle school into high school, you don't need boys and girls in the bathroom together. And I'm sorry if it's offensive for me to call them boys and girls, but that's what they are. So, I mean, gray areas tend to disappear when children become involved. Like, for instance, people of different ages having relationships, like a 21-year-old woman and like a 40-year-old man. It's weird. People are going to say something about it, but there's nothing illegal and there's nothing that should be made illegal about it. But, could go with even the same age difference of a 30-year-old man with a 12-year-old girl. We have a problem.
right.
Gray area disappears.
But yeah, I don't. The thing is, it's like the younger. It seems like they're trying to push a lot of these things towards the younger crowd. School aged. You know, the bathrooms, and then um like the drag queen story hour,
Drag
you
your
know
pride.
all this other stuff, which you know part of me is like, you know you do you, if if you want to, if you want to tuck fold and you know present yourself to the world as a female, knock yourself out. But at the same time, it's I don't I don't want you coming up to my kids and trying to you know tell them, read Dr. Seuss to them, and telling them, you're this shit's normal.
Yeah. Yeah. It's one of those things of like, especially when children become involved, and like, I'm not a parent or anything, so I'm looking at this from the outside of someone who just has to deal with cats. Um, but when the kids become involved, it's almost as if it's one of the few times I think there should be regulations on things, but the regulations should be more towards protecting the children. How many children are going to actually go out there and kill themselves if they can't have their breasts removed at 12, 13 years old? How many of them would not be able to just go through therapy until they hit a certain level of development? I mean, there's plenty of other things we place, a certain level of development of mind and body before we make allowances for them. I mean, there's a lot of places you can't buy a handgun until you're 21. You can't drink until you're 21. I don't know if it's nationwide, but I know in a lot of states you now can't buy cigarettes until you're 21.
Yeah.
Why are we letting 12-year-olds decide that they can switch their gender and make, life altering, irreparable choices that you can't go back on?
Right.
a lot of the data that they bring up is really spurious. Watched a video recently about a guy who actually knows. He was quite knowledgeable on the whole gender transformation stuff. And this guy's actually a leftist. Like he's not a full on screeching leftoid, but he is a Democrat. Um, but his main issue is that the data that people present about transgender children does not line up to the reality of what the studies have shown. And one of the big ones he talks about is puberty blockers. And a lot of the data on puberty blockers is specifically for children who have a not extremely rare, but a somewhat uncommon uh, disorder called progressive puberty, in which they start going into puberty at literally like 8 years old. They start hitting puberty, and it's like 4 years too early, and it could cause a lot of physical issues later on in life. Not things that you can't generally deal with, but will cause significant problems later in life. Especially when you get into like your 40s, so you'll start having bone structure problems because your body grew out of whack. And they use puberty blockers on these children, usually for a period of 2 to 4 years at most. And then they take them off of the puberty blockers at an age which they should start going through the changes. And that's when the whole, quote unquote, reversal begins. Is okay, your body is now at the point where it should be getting these different hormones, and it, just naturally flowing through them. So
Yeah.
a lot of this data it's twisted in a way that they want it to be twisted. And they use the same types of data about the suicide rates amongst transgender people, and they'll then put that onto kids. They'll say like, oh well, look at all of these kids who are now capable of properly expressing themselves, and we have 20% of students in some schools are choosing their genders, being non-binary or some form of they're wanting to be a demi bird thing.
Yeah.
And they're using that to push all of this weird propaganda that I can really only think the one goal that they're trying to go with this is that they're trying to make pedos less stigmatized. They're trying to make it more acceptable.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. No. One thing I was sitting here thinking about was, when I was when I was like 12 years old or whatever, I wanted, I thought it'd be cool to be like a freaking Autobot,
Yeah.
but it's like I'm not, I didn't, my parents wouldn't, wasn't like looking for, my parents weren't looking for Energon, and trying to,
We found
put freaking sheet metal on me or anything.
and you're an Autobot. Here,
Yeah.
son.
But yeah, I don't know. It's part of me just, can, I don't know why this is even still a thing. It's like, I don't know. I just wonder how long, how much longer, people can freaking, beat this drum,
Well, I think it's all going to eventually come back and snap back on them, like you see in a lot of school districts at the parent-teacher conferences. Notice no one's talking about those in the mainstream media anymore, because the parents started finding out, especially during the lockdowns, when they started having, they were able to sit in the room while their children were getting their lessons in school because everything became online. A lot of parents started realizing what certain teachers in certain districts, and I'm not saying it's like a widespread thing going through a lot of schools, but enough of them that we had national attention about parents going to the school conferences and bitching about them teaching their children essentially Marxist ideology. That's what they're.
Mhm.
And I think all of these things, the bathroom situation included, can fall under one of two reasons why it's happening. It's either incompetence, and the people who are at the top and trying to push policy are attempting to placate a small but loud group of people who are predominantly on Twitter, And they've been active on Twitter for a long time. They even use certain code words like MAP, if anyone's familiar with that one, which stands for a minor attracted person. Um, so it's
Yeah.
competence, straight up malice. And I think it's a bit of both, because I know that, a lot of Marxist ideology has been taking over higher education for a long time. And those people are now in positions of power in lower education, and they're able to push forth all of their Marxist ideology.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. That, which, that acronym, whatever, that has always kind of, made me laugh, it's like, oh, minor attracted person. Uh, or actually, the one that's even funnier uh, is NOMAP, right?
that's
Which which is non offending minor attracted person. It's like, so it's like, basically it's them saying, well, I'm a pedophile, but I just look, I don't touch.
it's Please don't clip this, but they're basically saying, look, I want to fuck kids, but I don't clip
Yeah,
that. It's
but
yeah, it's
I-
that, and it's one of those things, like, it would be okay if somebody was internally recognizing that there's something that is within them, and it's wrong and disgusting. They're attracted to children, and they try to seek help for that before they ever offend, and they go and they find out ways to adjust their behavior to remove temptation and things like that. That would be one thing. But these people they're coding all of their language so that they can be
mm,
disgusting perverts, just straight up beyond degeneracy. I mean, we're talking, last days of Gomorrah shit that they want to do.
well, it's I don't know, it's the same thing in making, because like I said, back in the day, if somebody was like, yes, I'm attracted to, I'm attracted to minors, I'm attracted to kids, and we'd be like, oh, pedophile.
Yeah,
And but no, now these days, it's a um it's a less uh offending. I don't know if offending is the word I'm looking for, but anyway, it's quote unquote nicer sounding words, for to say minor attracted person, you know,
they're
and but yet,
stigmatized.
in another subject, um, of guns, right? Uh, they once upon a time somebody slaps on the word assault, to like the big the big scary black looking gun called the AR-15, right?
Hmm. Which definitely stands
And
for rifle.
you know, and just because it looks, just because it looks like an M16 or an M4, or the any other similar looking rifle that the military uses, so they're like, oh yeah, that's a scary looking gun. We got that, and so we're gonna put assault on it, an assault rifle, because it looks like it looks like a military thing, and it's like, no, it's just it's just a rifle, it's just a weapon. The assault comes from the person that's holding it, so it's like, to me anyway, it's the same type of thing, just in a different you know
Yeah, it has the polycarbon.
instead of from bad to good, it's good to bad,
Yeah,
so
Yeah, and I think that's one of those. It also falls under either incompetence or malice, and it's a bit of both. I think that there are authoritarians who are within our government that want to, essentially want to subjugate the population, and they know that they're not going to be able to do it if we're capable of defending ourselves. And then there's the majority of people who just go along with it, who are incompetent, and they're swayed by these, backwards arguments. People who have to talk out of both sides of their mouth with their arguments. People who give horrible advice. I mean, Joe Biden himself saying you should fire your shotgun twice into the air if you have any trouble on your yard. That's a horrible idea. A, that's a reckless discharge. Two, it's a bad idea. You're okay. I have a double barrel shotgun. I have two shots. Let me shoot both of them, not at the person threatening me.
Right. Yeah. I mean, if one, if you're gonna be, if you're gonna give the courtesy, shall we say, of a warning shot, uh, it would be, advised uh, to send a round into the, into the ground as opposed to up into the air.
I've heard of people that as like they give the warning shot into the ground. I want to say I watched there was a incident on it was either Donut Operator was talking about it or it was on Code Blue Cam. But yeah, there was someone who did that not too long ago. I mean, it was effective. I believe like two people were breaking into his house, and so he fired two rounds into the ground, and they ran.
Yeah. But at the same time, though, it's some might consider that a waste of ammunition.
I mean, yeah, it's and it's one of those things you do have to be careful with it because it could technically still be considered a reckless discharge. Luckily, that guy was able to explain the situation to the police officers on the ground, and they used their discretion to not file any charges against him.
Yeah.
Time.
Yeah, that's one of them things too. It's like it seems like the quote unquote good guy has to you know explain himself you know more than the criminal does these days.
Oh,
But
fiction, yeah. The state, who's in charge, which judge you've got. The DAs actually are probably the most. They're really the most important with that because they're the ones who determine what charges are going forward on people. I mean, look at what's going on in New York right now with the guy who defended himself against a guy who was assaulting him, came behind the counter, had was about to attack him. He tried to remove himself from the situation. Guy like put his hand around his neck, and so he just grabbed a
yeah,
knife that was used as a box cutter and stabbed the dude a couple of times, and I believe he died. And now he's getting charged, whereas the guy he stabbed was released after assaulting a police officer.
yeah,
So yeah, that's the kind of backwards thinking we're seeing with all of this, and we have to. At one point in time, at least, the Democrats would. It was at least, I guess, it was only because it was popular because there's enough of these people who just care about getting rich in government. But I guess they knew it was popular to say we need to make sure children are safe and protected in schools. And so they'll talk out of both sides of their mouth saying, in order to make sure children are safe and protected in schools to keep them safe from the essentially very rare school shooting situation, which are horrible, but they are rare. So we have to remove all guns from everyone. No one can get their AR-15 because of that. But at the same time, we need to make sure that young boys and young girls can be in a bathroom together because nothing bad is going to happen there. And if you don't,
yeah, it's not like there's any raging hormones or anything.
yeah, I don't know if I story on here or if it was another. I think I've talked about it online before, but when my mom was a teacher at a middle school up in Maryland, there was a girl who was caught in the boys' bathroom. There was a line of boys leading out the bathroom, and basically she was in one of the stalls just letting dudes come one after another to get blowjobs. These were seventh graders. These were kids. They were like 11 at the time.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, and one of the teachers walked in and basically caught them in the act. That was a fun phone call home to the parents.
Oh, yeah. Um, I can imagine. Wow.
And I mean, if that shit's already happening, now it's anecdotal, but if that shit's already happening and it's the girls aren't allowed in the boys' bathroom and boys aren't allowed in the girls' bathroom, and don't give me this whole they identify as bullshit. That's it's already happening in those situations. What's going to stop it from happening in other situations? We already have tons of examples of these. Someone else had brought up a trans woman getting two women pregnant in a prison. I believe that was in California. Of course, it was.
Right? Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
totally retarded. You can basically just assume it came out of California.
Yeah. I mean, it's yeah. Like I'm not. I'm a little too effeminate for man jail. Can you send me to woman jail, please?
I
And
mean,
then, but but then once I get to women jail, I'm gonna be a man and freaking insert myself into the other prisoners. Wow. Yeah.
Sean Estep said it was New Jersey that happened recently. I mean,
Mm,
look, if I had the option of I can go to and like we're talking prison, like if I'm going to jail for like 6 months, just send me to fucking jail. Like at least from what I've heard, I've never been, but from what I've heard, this jail in this area, no one's gonna fuck with you. Nobody wants to stay there longer than they need to. They're doing 3 to 6 months and then they're getting the fuck out. Right? It's either
yeah.
that waiting to go to prison, and even then, they don't want to fuck with anybody because they're getting ready to go to prison. So if I had the option, like I'm going to prison, and I could go to a women's prison, man, I already got the long hair. I'll clean shave. I'll tuck. Whatever. I don't even care if I'm in a prison with a bunch of mullet having bull dykes. We can play
Yeah.
dice. I'll play spades with them.
Well, here's the thing, though, and I got this straight from the horse's mouth, as it were. Um, this old boy, when I was living at the veterans place, right? One of the guys there, he he'd taken a slightly different road, and so you know he's a felon, right? And he he told me, he's like, when it comes to having relations in prison, right? He told me that and as far as like uh you know homosexual activities, he's like, as long as you quit 2 weeks before you get out, it was just a hustle.
Man, I was watching a show. I want to say it was Atlanta, the Donald Glover show. And yeah, there was a situation like that. Like they're all sitting in the police station, and there's a tranny there who's apparently a regular, in and out of prison kind of person. And one of the dudes had been dating him on the outside, and everyone's like, "Man, you're gay. You were dating a man on the outside." They're like, "Whatever. You've been to prison. You've had sex with men." He's like, "Yeah, but that's prison. That's different."
Yeah. Yeah. You
Yeah.
know, eh, the so you use the term tranny just now. Remember back when somebody said tranny, they meant transmission, you know? like
Well,
like they were like they were talking about, a Ford C6, or something.
I
Yeah.
mean, I still hear
That's-
that thrown around. I got some friends who are mechanics, so that's I hear
yeah.
that around for that. But I mean, even when I was a kid, if somebody was talking about trannies, it was like, oh, you like Rocky Horror Picture Show too? Yeah.
Uh,
And I mean, I guess because I was kind of exposed to it at a younger age. Like it was never. It's one of those things like people being trans was never super stigmatized to me because like I knew people who were like I had family members or friends of my parents who were either cross dressers or drag queens and stuff like that. But
yeah.
like they were never weird to me about it. Like my cousin who's a good like 30 years 20 years older than me. Uh, he was a cross dresser, but he wouldn't show up in his alter ego and mess with me. Like he did that on the side somewhere else. That was at parties and stuff.
Hmm.
Hell, I knew another guy when I got a bit older. I want to say his real name was Reggie. It was a black dude who ugly black guy, but actually made a pretty good looking chick. Uh, surprisingly enough, yeah, his alter ego was Violet,
Yeah.
but
Well,
he's
I
gonna be
mean,
completely different. Like it's not like it used to be where when I was 18, 19, or when back in the 90s when I had the family members and stuff. Back then it was it wasn't anything that people would stigmatize, but they also weren't claiming to be the other gender. Like they still lived within reality and they knew that they were men. Their day-to-day lives were as men. They didn't show up at work saying, "I need you to now call me Miss Kitty."
hmm,
They didn't say that you're literally killing them or you're committing a violence against them by not referring to their alter ego. Hell,
right. Yeah.
jokes about it. If another dude thought that they were good looking, they would embarrass the absolute ever loving hell out of that guy.
It's like freaking um like Crocodile Dundee. Remember the in the bar in Crocodile Dundee, and the he was getting hit on, right? And the other people in the bar knew that this woman was not a woman, and then he did the whole package check, and he's like, "That's a guy."
Yeah.
And then when they were at the fancy cocktail party, and he sees that old lady, and he's like, just checking, like,
God, I haven't seen that movie in a long time. Like I was probably too young to understand those jokes.
yeah. Well, I don't, I wasn't,
Yeah.
but yeah, I don't. It's, uh, I don't know. I mean, growing up in growing up in BFE, Missouri, we would we would definitely joke about these type of things.
Mhm.
Um, but and because like one, it wasn't a normal, it was a normal everyday walk of life type of thing.
Yeah.
um, and yeah, it's uh, I don't know. I just man, I don't know.
It was somewhat common where I lived. I was closer to DC and Annapolis and Baltimore, so we had a lot of cities and stuff like this is just more common, I guess.
Right. Well, yeah, being on this coast or that coast, and you
Yeah.
know, around, bigger cities and stuff. Yeah, a lot of this stuff is, more common and whatnot. But you growing up, growing up in rural America, farm country and stuff like that. Yeah, I mean, I know a lot of people that are probably having heart attacks over this shit.
Oh yeah.
But
Yeah, I imagine where I spent like my very young formative years, because I grew up basically it's where they filmed the wood scenes for the Blair Witch Project is where I grew up, because
yeah,
there was nothing out there. That was BFE. But when I got a bit older, I moved closer to the cities. So yeah, I imagine where I first grew up, they probably they didn't even start hearing about this stuff until last week. Like, it was so outside of their scope of things. Oh, got Sean Estep was just saying he's listening from Calvert County, Maryland. Uh,
yeah.
I'm sure at some point in time I've been in Calvert County. I'm not 100% sure where that is. Prince
Well,
Frederick. Yeah,
Monkey Jeebus apparently knows a bit of a rare breed, because apparently there's a trans person at his place of work, that doesn't really care what you call them, but other people that work there do. Yeah, and it's funny, it's funny how many people are like that. It's like, they they feel like they feel like they have to speak, for someone else. But,
mm-hmm. Offended on
which
behalf of.
yeah, yeah, which sometimes that can be a good thing, speaking up for someone when when they don't, because they're just they're afraid to or whatever. But these days it seems like there's a lot of people, speaking up for others that uh, they definitely don't need to speak up for them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just wanted to bring up, yeah, Sean Estep was saying in Calvert County, and then Snortopoopas grew up in Fairfax County. That's kitty. Sorry, my cat's being a wrecking ball in here. That's in Virginia. Yeah, I grew up in I don't live there anymore, so it's not like I'm doxing myself or anything. But I grew up in Bowie, which is just outside of DC, Prince George's County. So that's actually they're right around from my neck of the woods. Uh, all I'm saying is I'm glad I don't live there anymore. A lot of people I knew growing up have either died of heroin overdoses. A couple I've found out through like Facebook and stuff are in prison. I'm just glad to not be there. I'd rather be in fucking middle of nowhere, Georgia.
So, okay, I have to ask you real quick. The kitty cat that came in like a wrecking ball. Is it named Miley Cyrus by chance?
It could be. No, her name is Ash. She is a very sweet and pretty princess to me, and she is an absolute fucking demon to everyone else. She's also just not particularly coordinated. She old. She's like 14 now. So jumping up on stuff isn't the easiest for her.
I apologize to the audience for my dad joke.
Also,
Not really, but okay.
like that would make me Billy Ray Cyrus as the cat dad. Him either.
I don't know.
hey man, just like literally like 2 seconds. I already got it pulled up on here, but I'm gonna drop out here and pull this up on my computer so I can have like a better connection and hear you better, see the chat and stuff. So
Oh well, okay. I mean, it's like 10 till the hour, so I mean we're almost it's almost quitting time.
yeah, there was actually, if it was cool, there was I had an announcement I wanted to make, and I was gonna pull up a quick video.
Oh, well,
But I got to switch over to do that. Like it'll literally be 2 seconds, and I'll be back in the back room. So give me just a moment.
okay. Well. Oh wait. Okay. Well, that was
Hey,
quick.
yeah, no, like I was already set up on the computer. Like I literally just had to click the button.
All right. Uh,
Yeah, it's pretty cool that got a couple of listeners here, Sean and Snortapoopus from my neck of the woods.
yeah, I think Snort migrated down south though,
Oh,
which is
nice.
which is it, which is kind of rare for a polar bear, but
Yeah.
as long as he stays cool,
And they probably, despite the fact that he grew up below the Mason-Dixon line, and hell, Virginia was a part of the Confederacy, they probably still consider him a damn Yankee. See, a regular Yankee is just someone from the North. A damn Yankee is one that stays.
yeah. So you'd be a damn Yankee.
I
Huh?
am definitely a damn Yankee. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, man. Like I'm here in Georgia, and they're, I'll tell people like, oh yeah, I grew up in Maryland, just outside of DC, and they're like, oh man, that's like way up north. I'm like, not really. I think like Canada is like way up north. Like I'm from the middle, technically like slightly below the middle.
Right? Yeah. And no, way up north would be New England,
Yeah.
New Hampshire, Vermont, Massachusetts, Maine.
I'll say if
No,
you're going to
I
New
mean, well, if
England,
you go any further than Maine, you're in Canada. So,
yeah.
but
I'll say I've spent a good amount of time in New England. For people in our type of group, the more liberty-minded, constitutional-minded people, New Hampshire is the place in New England that you want to go to.
yeah. Although there's been times where I wonder, because even in New Hampshire, there's places that are full of the libtards and whatnot.
I mean, it's pretty much just in like Manchester, really. There's like 2 cities in New Hampshire, and everything else is like woods, national parks, mountains, or lakes.
Mm,
So just get outside of Manchester, and you're pretty much good.
yeah, yeah. Well, uh, Manchester is like the city, I guess you'd say.
Pretty much,
But
it's the one with the airport.
I mean, I lived in Nashua for a while,
Oh yeah,
but which that's down on the Massachusetts border. But
hmm
uh,
yeah. I've got a family in they're outside of Boston, very suburban outside of Boston. And then I also have got a summer place in near Lake Winnipesaukee. Now, when I say a summer place, it's a one bedroom apartment that we timeshare. I don't have like a fucking summer home on the lake with a boat garage. Like I'm not hanging out with Mitt Romney and Joe Gibbs.
why not?
Well, first off, I've met Mitt Romney. He's a prick. He's a fat fucking prick. He's not just a prick on TV or in with his politics. He's a prick in real life. Um,
Uh,
I'll say Jimmy Fallon hangs out there too. He is genuinely a nice guy. When if you see him in public and stuff, he's usually pretty cordial to his fans. Most of the people in that area try to be nice to him and just sort of like give him a little wave or something. But if you try to strike up a conversation, he's at least pretty cool. Not speaking to his comedy or anything, not the hugest fan, but he was a nice guy.
Yeah. We're down to like the last 5-6 minutes here. But I don't know. I don't know that there's a whole lot more we can say about the whole transgender thing, bathrooms or anything else.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's just, I don't know. I just hope that we can go back to the way things used to be.
Mm-hmm.
You
mean just like even-minded, where we would try to talk through the tough things in our society, and you weren't automatically labeled as a racist istophobe if you didn't fall in line with whatever crazy dogmatic bullshit people were trying to push on you. If you were just like, it seems weird to me that people are trying to do this. I think that a fetus could be considered a life. Could we maybe have a conversation about it? And it's just, my body, my choice.
Yeah. But anyway, to kind of end it on a more happy, more nostalgic, whatever note. When you use the phrase "damn Yankees,"
you
I
thought
don't
of the
know.
band, didn't you?
Yeah, I thought of the band.
What was their hit? I just remember it was like 80s hair ballad, right?
Something like Higher, I think. Whatever.
Is that it?
It's like, can you take me higher? Yeah.
I didn't think that was Damn Yankees.
Yeah, no, yeah, it was.
Is that it?
Yeah.
Let's see. I'm Googling them. It should be like the first thing that.
And
High enough.
I can't remember who all was in there other than Tommy Shaw,
Uncle Ted Nugent,
and Ted Nugent. They were like the two main ones. There were other, there was a couple other guys from other bands, but yeah, Tommy Shaw and Ted Nugent were like the two more famous ones. But
yeah.
But yeah, it's.
I just remember this would have been mid 90s when all of the now that's what I call music, and the compilation CDs were a really big thing because CDs were expensive back then. They pretty much, like, from when I was a little kid up until I was a teenager, CDs were always $10 each, and we had a fair amount of inflation during that time. And so you kind of had to be picky and choosy. So the compilation CDs became really popular, and I had a bunch of them growing up. I didn't actually get to like sit down and listen to full albums until like the internet. I started understanding the internet better, and I learned how to sail the high seas and get a hold of the stuff. But my mom had one. It was an 80s power ballads mix, and I remember it had High Enough. That was the Damn Yankees. It was High Enough. It had that and like Queensryche, Silent Lucidity on there, and I think it had Beth by Kiss.
Yeah.
Which my mom hates that song because her name's Beth, and people would always sing it to her back in the 80s until it finally drove her knuckin' futs.
But well, it's like I don't know. You could call it a guilty pleasure, I guess, maybe. But I Was Made for Loving You by Kiss,
Oh
right?
yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I'm sorry, but I like that song. But um, that that is freaking Gene Simmons hates that fucking song.
Yeah.
He hates that song. But
I mean, every artist is going to have that thing that like they hate, and I think part of it is that you're always going to be your own worst critic. Like I do a couple of different things, and like I'll show my wife like something I painted, and she's like, "Oh, that looks so amazing," and I'm just like, "It looks like shit. What are you talking about? These mountains look like I fucking frosted a cake. This trees, I mean, the lopsided tree's not that big a deal, but why is the sky this color? It's fucking weird. Have you ever seen a sky that color? Looks like shit." But everyone else I show it to, they're like, "Oh no, it's good." But I'm sure it's like my mom and my wife and stuff. Like they're being nice to me. It looks like shit. I know it. I'm not a good artist. I haven't been at it long enough and put enough time in to be good. But I enjoy it.
maybe watch a little Bob Ross or something.
Oh, dude, Bob Ross was my main inspiration. That's
Happy
That's a
Little
lot of what
Tree.
I do. I do the wet on wet oil landscapes. So yeah, it's literally like I'll get high as shit, pop on a Bob Ross video, and paint for like 2-3 hours. Dude, Bob Ross is the best. Guy's a national
Yeah.
fucking treasure. Part
Happy
of
Little
the
Trees, Happy Little Mountain.
oh yeah, that was great stuff. He's part of the wholesome trinity. It's Bob Ross, Mr. Rogers, and Steve Irwin. They're
Yeah.
the trinity of wholesomeness. They're
Oh,
timeless too.
yeah. Oh, dude, Mr. Rogers, man. I freaking yeah. I definitely watched him quite a bit uh, in my young days.
He was
But
a bit before my time, but like I'd occasionally catch like they do replays of his stuff, and but I gotta say, like, I've watched some of his videos as an adult, and even as an adult it's like, man, he's really talking about like some deep stuff, and he's explaining it in a way that a child can understand, but damn it if it doesn't make me feel good about myself.
uh,
Oh yeah, and Shawnee Step saying they throw LeVar Burton. I loved the Reading Rainbow. And when I met him at the Orlando Fan Expo, I got my autograph of him because I had to. I'm down to just getting Marina Sirtis, who played Deanna Troy, to have the entire bridge crew of the Enterprise D. So I had to get LeVar Burton. But yeah, I brought that up to him. I was like, "Oh man, I loved Reading Rainbow when I was a kid, and then my parents were big into Next Gen, and I'd watch it too. When I got older, I started watching Next Gen, like, and I love all of those shows, and you were like this amazing, important part of my childhood." And luckily, he didn't bring up any politics. He was just very thankful and
right. I was gonna say, with them two, uh, uh, Burton and Surtees, here lately, you definitely got to separate art from artist.
I mean, I've been doing that my
They,
whole
'cause
life.
they saying some stupid shit.
Yeah.
But anywho, we're 3 minutes past the hour. I just got a little notification for comics division.
Yeah. Yeah, if
For
I
the
could just
for the actual Yelling at Park cars pop up on my phone here. So I'm gonna say we're gonna wrap it up, and we can send the audience over there if they choose to go. And I don't know, did you have anything that you wanted to
yeah.
any
I
links you wanted to throw out, or anything
well
you want to promote before we leave?
Yeah, I actually had a bit of an announcement to make here. I did put something up on Twitter the other day, but if it was cool, it's literally like a minute and 30 seconds. I was going to share this video here.
See if we could play that. This is the new trailer for my podcast I'll be doing Fridays at 8:30. It is a movie review podcast, Blast from the Past. Myself and Megan Lee of the Noob Reviews. We're going to be doing a deep dive into just a handful of scenes. We're not going to be going step by step. Hang on, let me pause that during the explanations. Yeah, we're not going to be doing like step by step through everything, but just sort of focusing on a couple of scenes and trying to do a bit of a deep dive into those. Was that loud? I wanted to ask.
I don't know. I mean,
I'm
kind
gonna
of
just
seemed
turn
like
it down a bit.
a little bit, but
It's a little bit choppy at the beginning. I don't know what to do about that when I try to do the share video. I'm gonna turn it down just a bit though, just in case it's kind of loud. But yeah, here's the trailer for it, and this will be the intro to the show. So please enjoy. Yeah, that's it. That's the trailer for it. That got a bit choppy while that was going on. I don't know what I can do about that.
that was cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wanted to go with like a bit of a retro vibe with it, like Trina Lasso Truth was asking, is this like doing old school stuff, retro reviews? Yes, that is the intention. Gonna stick with mostly older movies, anything roughly 20 years ago and back. There might be a couple of movies in the slightly more modern times that I think are worth reviewing, but we're trying to do an actual analysis of a couple of scenes rather than just overall discussing the film. So that's sort of the intention. This Friday, it'll be at 8:30 Eastern. Myself, Megan Lee of the Noob Reviews. Very first movie we're doing is going to be The Princess Bride.
Marriage.
Yes. It's one of my all-time favorite movies. I've loved it since I was a kid. I wore out like 2 VHS tapes of it. And so I'd always sort of told myself, like, if I'm ever going to do an actual movie review podcast, I'm doing Princess Bride off the rip. And, she and I are going to go back and forth picking different movies. But yeah, sticking more old school, like as you could see in the trailer, I had like, had Blade Runner in there. That'll eventually come up at some point in time. Unforgiven, that'll come up at some point in time. I'd also like to go all the way back in the black and white era and do like definitely want to do some noir. Like I have a couple of clips from Casablanca, which isn't technically noir, but it's a great movie. Do Casablanca, Maltese Falcon, The Big Sleep, Big Combo, Laura, stuff like that. Shadow of a Doubt, maybe some Hitchcock films as well thrown in there. So yes, Conan, Sean Estep, as you mentioned, and Trina, you also mentioned doing, you want to do something along the lines with horror, which totally should definitely do that. I'm a big fan of horror as well, but I think we're going to try and keep those movies more towards the October season. But there's definitely some horror movies I have on the list I'm going to want to do. Like The Thing, definitely going to want to do that. Exorcist, Poltergeist, Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And who knows, maybe I'll be able to talk Megan into doing like some cheesy B horror movies. Like maybe we'll be able to do like Sorority Babes and the Slimeball Bolorama, which is a real movie and it's bad and I love it.
That's awesome.
Yep.
Well, I appreciate everyone for tuning in, and yeah, if you're not subscribed to Mr. Freeze Peach here, you can find him under that name here on the YouTubes, right? Freeze Peach Gaming.
Yes, and actually, since you mentioned that, let me put up it's actually my second channel where I've been doing Lord of the Rings stuff. I rebranded that as this new channel, Blast from the Past Reviews, which I am putting up in the chat right now. Yeah, there's a link to new channel.
Right on. Cool. All right. Well, everybody can go on over and to Comics Division's channel and check out the actual Yelling at Park Cars and tell them I sent you, and we will see you later. Thanks for tuning in.
Bye.